Last week when it came out that some airlines which fly the MAX did not pay the upgrade that would be required for the crews to be alerted when the angle of attack sensors are sending information that disagrees with each other. They would have to pay for that. Some were not paying for that, and as a result, there's been fierce backlash against Boeing from people who have said, wait a second, shouldn't that be standard for all airlines? And that's why Boeing put out that statement within the last half hour saying, okay, we're not going to charge for this. This will be standard. And
Jack, you and your colleagues had a piece over the weekend kind of explaining how the 737 MAX came to be, how it was a response in part to the success of Airbus's A321neo, how American Airlines in 2011 was about to place a big order that Boeing didn't want to lose, and this 737 MAX aircraft became very important to them. It's become their best-selling plane. Has this been a competitive setback, Jack? In the last couple of days, we've seen China order some Airbus planes. We've seen Indonesia make a very small cancellation. Is there a longer-term threat to Boeing here?
So surprisingly, I think we're actually going to see the longer-term effect limited. That's in part because we really have two players in the global aerospace industry, Airbus and Boeing, and it's not really easy for airlines to get out of their orders. The 737 MAX quickly became the best-selling aircraft model in aviation history. There's more than 5,000 airplanes that have been ordered, and only 376 of those have even been delivered yet. So we've got an enormous number of planes to be delivered, and only one carrier, the Indonesian national carrier for just 49 airplanes, has said it's going to try to cancel, but it's not easy to try to cancel these planes. You got to put a deposit down. A lot of them have made investments in training, et cetera, and it's just not easy to pull out. And so I think, surprisingly, despite the bad press and despite the numerous investigations that likely are going to go into Boeing, we may not see a big competitive hit.
Phil, that also may explain why we haven't seen too much movement in the shares lately. Even
right.
This morning, there was an upgrade to the stock. What about the regulatory threat? There's 3 different investigations opened now into Boeing and this hearing on Capitol Hill today.
I think you're going to see these investigations continue. Look, some of these on Capitol Hill, Kelly, you could have predicted this the minute that Boeing said that it was having some problems with the 737 MAX. So some of these, while there will be a lot of noise in Washington, I don't think there's going to be a long-term impact. What you need to focus on if you're a Boeing investor is whether or not this company ever changes its production schedule for the 737 MAX, which is at 52 a month right now, scheduled to go to 57 by the end of this year. And as Jack pointed out, if you're an airline, why would you cancel your order right now? Well, you may not be happy with Boeing. Do you want to get in line at the back of the line with Airbus and wait another 5, 6, 7 years for an A321neo? I mean, you are to a certain extent locked in here, and that's why I don't think we've seen a whole lot of movement with the shares, even despite the talk about investigations or senators and congressmen saying, we're not happy with Boeing, there need to be changes.
And Jack, consumers, of course, as soon as this happened, were the ones kind of leading this push to say, wait, I don't know if I want to fly on this aircraft until we find out exactly what's happened. Has that moment passed? As Boeing has been able to kind of clarify a little bit about what happened or not? Or are people still waiting for sure to get a definitive answer about whether these planes are safe in the air?
I think it's likely we're going to continue to have a certain portion of the flying public that does feel uncomfortable about flying on a MAX. I think that certainly, as we've seen with past accidents, that passes pretty quickly. And also, the airlines, even throughout this crisis for Boeing, have basically stood behind Boeing, particularly the U.S. carriers, and said they feel confident in the airplane. And they're all certainly saying they feel confident now with this software fix. So I think once these crashes kind of disappear from the news, I think we're going to see less concerns from flyers.
All right, we got to go. But Phil, the fix is coming when now is the latest estimate?
Well, they'll probably send it to the FAA by the end of the week. At least that's the plan. And then the people that I've talked with in Washington and with the FAA think it could take 1, maybe 2 weeks, but more likely just a week for them to certify this software. Remember, they've been talking with the FAA all along. It's not like they're sitting there waiting and going, what's going to be in this update? They know to a certain extent what's going to be involved.
All right, guys, thank you both.